We are now in the Leongarden complex. And we still have about 50 apartments available.
Actually, this is the view from the apartments.
We have an apartment on the 3rd floor that costs $33,000. It is 30 square meters. You write me the code word Alexander short, and this is enough for you to get at least a 5% discount.
So, yes, great. Hello, Jana.
Hello, Alexander.
And do I understand correctly that we are in a complex that is already up for pre-delivery? Yes.
Yes, that's right. We are now in Complex and Garden. In principle, we have rented construction sites here with you several times. So now let's see what we have. When do the renovations start? Please tell me. The renovations have already started here on June 1st. So there are apartments where almost half of the renovations have already been done.
Yeah, and for those who are watching us for the first time, let's indicate what kind of location this is, that is, how far we are from the sea and what area of Batumi this is.
And now we are only 400 meters from the boulevard. This is a new area, this is a new boulevard. Oh, and we are building a complex here, a 21-story building. Well, basically, we have already built the facade work, 95% is already complete. And we are currently working on the infrastructure, repair work is in full swing, and we still have about 50 apartments available. So there is still an opportunity to buy a ready-made apartment in this wonderful complex.
And how many apartments are there in total in this complex? 400. 400, that is, 50 are still available. And, Jana, I would like to ask you, we started filming, so the construction began in what year? The beginning of the 22nd year, that is, 3 years ago. How much did the cheapest square meter cost here for?
$400?
$400. $400, yes. And how much is the cheapest one now?
The cheapest one is $950 now. That is, the prices have more than doubled, but $950, probably, the cheapest options have long been sold out, right? Well, there are some on the 2nd or 3rd floor, but they are a little bit specific in the apartment, because they have a large terrace and the living space there is less. And it turns out that you still need to buy with a terrace. That is, well, that is where the specificity comes in.
That is, the prices have changed more than twice in 3 years, am I right? Yes, that's right, yes. And how much is the cheapest apartment now?
Here's the cheapest apartment now. We have an apartment on the 3rd floor that costs $33,000. That's 30 square meters.
$33,000. What condition is it in?
In a black frame. We
can go and see the complex itself.
Sure, let's go. Well, we'll have a reception here. The reception will be here. Let's
stop right away. That is, the reception will be here. We can immediately see where and what will be located.
Well, there will be a table here. And then a person comes in, there's a table right away, and then we go further down the corridor to the elevator. We'll
probably see. We entered one of the elevators. Yes.
Mitsubishi Electric is one of the best, highest quality elevators that exist.
How many seats does it have? 21 people. Yes. So, when will the renovations start? The renovations have already begun. And the renovations have already begun. They've already begun. People have already entered the renovations since June 1st. That is, you're allowing renovations in apartments at the same time. And you're doing the entrance group in the process? Yes. So, this is what the view from the apartments looks like. And, John, I'd like to talk about the technical part right away. And you can already see, yes, what the partitions are made of, yes, in the apartments.
Yes, these are partitions between apartments, and the partitions themselves in the apartment interior will be made of Pumza block. Yes. And why was a ceramic block chosen? And we chose this block because it is more moisture resistant. And moreover, that is, it has even better sound insulation than with Pumza block. And, well, it was just that this time was still available, because it is not always possible to buy such a block. But we also wanted to buy such a block in Royal Business, but we simply physically could not find it. By the way, they produce it in Georgia, but they have some kind of production problems. But here we were lucky that we could buy this block. So it
turns out that we will have a ceramic block for partitions between apartments. And let's look at the doors right away then. Yes, since everything is already in place. Yes. In order to see the final version. What kind of doors? Oh, a door of Turkish manufacture. So,
yes, and the mechanisms there are Kali. This is the highest quality Turkish manufacturer that produces the mechanisms themselves.
And the basic purchase is made in white with a black frame, right? As I understand it? Yes, that's right. And tell me, please, if we are talking about a white frame, that is, this is some kind of first stage of pre-renovation, what does it include in your case and how much does it cost?
By the way, I made a good video about the white frame. If you also share it with your viewer, it will be good. Where I show in detail what work is included in the white frame, but I will quickly recalculate now, it's just that the video is better there, that is, it is more understandable, right? That is, the first thing is the designer's work. The designer makes drawings so that it is clear about the partitions, where each partition will be, and about the electrical point, and about the plumbing point, and so on. All this is agreed upon with the client. After we have agreed on all these nuances, details, discussed, if something needs to be changed, then we changed it. After that, we start working. And the first thing we do is build partitions. These are internal partitions between rooms. The next work is electrical points. That is, we make these wires under the points, under the sockets, under the switches. And after that we plaster the walls. This is cement sand plaster or gypsum. And yet in Batumi we recommend making cement sand plaster, because it is more moisture resistant. And the next stage is already wiring the plumbing to the points in the bathroom, to the toilet, to the wash basin, and to the kitchen.
Yes, the
next stage is already wiring under the radiators or a warm field, and then the floor screed, and then the screed on the balcony, waterproofing tape, and in the corners, waterproofing in the balcony itself and tiles on the balcony.
That is, this is a white frame. This is all, I understand. And now, and before we continue about the white frame, let's talk about double glazed windows. That is, what kind of double glazed windows?
Here you go, please. This is a German company, a German brand, and, well, in principle, perhaps, this is the highest quality that is currently available on Do.
You use them in all projects? Yes, to what extent? In all projects, and in Royal Residence Botanic, and Grand Botanic Residence, and here we have. And the most important question, I see outlets for the gas pipe. That is, the house, as I understand it, is gasified.
Everything is correct. The house is gasified, yes.
And tell me, please, who are these people who buy apartments in this house? Why do they do this?
Well, they buy from different countries. Well, mostly Russian-speaking people. Maybe it is because we simply shoot more content in Russian, I do not know. But mostly they speak Russian. And lately, a lot of people have been buying from Israel, these are Israelis. And they buy from Ukraine, from Belarus. And lately, by the way, there have been very few requests, that is, from people who live on the territory of Russia. But at the same time, there are many people who speak Russian, but they live in other countries, including Europe, including America, and in other countries. Who is your most unusual buyer? From what is the most unusual country? From Peru. Right now, a person is buying an apartment in Grand Botanic Residence. He lives in Peru, he speaks Spanish, and now he is buying 2 apartments in Grand Botanic. It
is curious. I have never even heard the box. Okay, good. And this apartment, in which we are now, it turns out to be in a white frame. Yes, it is located. I'll look around a little. Let's see. These are our beacons. Yes, as far as I understand, according to the beacon, we are just doing everything for now, leveling. Electricity is brought here. Yes, electricity, plumbing. Here, can you show this under the kitchen and in the bathroom? All the wiring for the radiators is also done. Screed, terminals for the radiator. Yes, I see. Is it possible to make a heated floor? Yes, theoretically.
It is possible to make a heated floor, of course. Yes.
So, our electrics are laid out along the ceiling. Yes, everything is correct. I see. What is the cost of this white frame per square meter? The
white frame costs $200. Well, sometimes we have promotions, and we can also make some kind of discount there under the promotions. Well, the standard price of a white frame per square meter is $200.
What needs to be done after this white frame to complete the renovation? What kind of work?
After the white frame, the walls are puttied, and then either painted or wallpapered, and for the floor, well, just tiles. Here, in principle, nothing is needed. Or a laminate, and in the bathroom too, well, tiles. And for the ceiling, well, the ceiling can be a suspended ceiling or plasterboard.
Or plasterboard. Well, which is better, suspended or plasterboard? What do you think?
Well, I like plasterboard more.
I see. Okay, let's continue. Yes. Here we have a view of the city, right? That is, of that part. And then I have a question. Is this complex intended for permanent residence or for rent?
For both permanent residence and rent. Why? Because the building is gasified. Because you can, in principle, live comfortably here all year round. And so we have a large number of people who bought an apartment, that they will come just in the summer, but at the same time people will rent it out for another period, or in principle it is also enough, somewhere around 50%, they bought it, that they lived here permanently.
What infrastructure will there be in this complex for living? That is, there will physically be a
swimming pool, there will be a sauna, there will be a small gym. Well, in principle, it is enough for this complex. There will be a reception, there will be a management company that will help you with renting out your apartments or reselling them. The management company also helps in this regard.
And how much will it cost to maintain the complex? That is, this is a very important point.
50 cents per square meter.
50 cents. That is, if I have an apartment of 30 square meters, only $15.
Only $15.
Why so little? Well, that is, that I can, it turns out, use the gym for 50 cents? No, the gym will be additionally in the pool too. And that is, the functions of the gym and the pool, well, there is a rough estimate of how much the memberships will cost.
Well, it will be cheaper than other gyms. And this complex is simply intended, this infrastructure is completely for this complex. That is, I do not think that strangers will go here. So this will be the minimum cost, optimal.
For simply maintaining its life. Well, in principle, this can be convenient, because the base rate, if it is cheap for maintenance, and I do not live here, I come here for 3 months, and I, let's say, need it for 3 months exclusively at this time. So, but tell us, please, about Israeli buyers. I understand that you have a lot of them here.
Yes, in each complex.
Why? What do they like about Georgia? Why do they, choose Georgia as a whole? Well, as I understand it, you just have a lot of experience communicating with them.
In fact, Israelis, they buy everywhere. They buy in Cyprus, and in Turkey, and in other countries too. It is mainly Israelis who buy from us. Mainly, I say, because we have English-speaking people too, but mainly Russian-speaking people. They come, first of all, there is no language barrier, everyone speaks Russian. They like the food, they really like the climate, because the summer in Israel, we know, is simply unbearably hot there. And here we have July now, and we have, the average daytime temperature. If you look at the last week, it is 22 to 23 degrees, that is, it is very pleasant. The climate is pleasant, and yes, it is good, there is no language barrier, there is infrastructure, and why not come here?
Housing is 10 times cheaper. How?
Yes, I'm not talking about this taxi and there are others, that is.
But I didn't ask for this purpose, I asked for the purpose that Israelis and many people from a hotter climate in Batumi initially do not understand. These are rains and the rainy side. Can we go through the rainy part of the complex? I'll ask you about the rains. That is, Sarpi, we very often have a wall of rain. Despite the fact that the picture here is the most beautiful, yes, Sarpi, we still have this rainy side, and it comes from here, a huge amount of rain. How to protect yourself from the rain, Jana?
Well, let's say we went into this apartment.
Yes, and that is a beautiful view, but if it starts to rain, then what does practice show? So,
by the way, I looked at this, I saw one, a large developer here, who builds all the houses like this. But I started thinking, why, I later understood why they do it, and in principle, we have the same principle here. We have loggias.
Yes.
And this loggia, the railings, all this closes the apartment as much as possible. That is, there is no direct contact, by the way, yes. Well, if you build a house like this. Yeah. If you do waterproofing here, do the tiles and then you need to use a 2-component grout based on the foundation. Then your apartment will always be dry. So, that is, you put up a protective terrace, it turns out to be a fence, yes, which is part of this water wall that goes in the SARP, it is extinguished, it turns out on this.
This, by the way, is a very correct option.
Yes, I agree. So, and here we have, waterproofing of the balcony, accordingly, it is covered with aluminum composite, right? This is an aluminum composite, right?
Aluminum composite, yes, good. Well, and, of course, my next tricky question is, do you have any gifts for subscribers of my channel? Bruh, we have kind of preserved this tradition, right? Although,
For the subscribers of Alexander Short, we always have gifts in each complex and in Lemongard, and in Royal Residence Botanicu, and in Grand Botanic Res. You write me the code word Alexander Short, and this is enough that you get at least a 5% discount, and there may also be some other bonuses, depending on what you will buy. It will be a small studio or a large 3-story townhouse.
well, for this it turns out that you need to contact you directly without intermediaries, right? That is, you.
Need to directly. My contacts will be in the description, and so Alexander does such a good job that he directly writes my phone number, and for you this does a very good job, that he says, well, please, you like the complex, please contact Auntie on yourself, negotiate. So thank you, Alexander, for this, because
Thank you for providing a discount. For some reason, not everything is profitable, not everyone, frankly speaking, and I would like to take this discount, because I would not like to consider all the properties.
I know this. How much do you need?
And thank you for your trust. And what is the minimum amount of money needed to enter the construction site now? That is, are there any installments and any?
We have an installment plan for up to a year. That is, if an apartment costs $33,000, this is the cheapest studio, that is, 30%. This comes out to about $11,000.
And this is the first payment. And so with an installment plan for up to a year, you can enter the construction site and buy an apartment that is already ready. And as soon as the renovation is completed, you can start studying here. That is, it turns out to be $11,000 at once, approximately $2,000 per month for a year. And when do you plan to populate the complex? 4.
People will be living here from January.
That is, you will have time to finish the reception, everything, we
will have time.
Good. We have here, and I also wanted to ask. So, we have electricity, gas, and how is the sewage system implemented?
Septic tank. The
septic tank is implemented.
Unfortunately, there is none on Novi Boulevard yet, but there is a project, and it is a huge project. They have already started working on it. So here on Novi Boulevard there will also be a central sewerage system, and as soon as there is, well, of course.
Well, in principle, I lived in a house on Eliada. That is, there was a septic tank there too, and by and large, it is.
Well, it is not felt here. That is, it is generally.
I'm just surprised that you are putting all this into 50 cents. And is it possible to rent out an apartment here?
What do you think? What is the prospect? Long-term or short-term rent? There is short-term, there is long-term, because you see what beautiful views we have of the sea. Accordingly, people come, they want to live by the sea, nearby, here on the sea. We have quite a lot of such apartments, but, in principle, there will also be a great demand for long-term rent here. I am sure that 100% all the apartments will be occupied here, because there is demand. And first of all, when people come, they don't know anything about this place or have never been to Batumi, they, rent out apartments. I don't know, I won't say where, but I think most of you can guess, but when they live there for a month or 2 months, they are already looking for an alternative. We will be offering an alternative, because our house is gasified, yours is, that is, here, and it will be warm in the winter, well, in the summer it will be, of course, the air conditioner will turn on, it will be cool. Although this year, to be honest, I haven't turned on the air conditioner even once, because it's fine as it is.
And a few more difficult questions. We are still liquidating the landfill now, yes, little by little, but is there any draft from the landfill? And is there a smell?
Well, no, there is no smell here. Maybe it happened a few times, but do you particularly notice the smell now?
Well, no.
We can go out on the balcony, there is a...
No, the weather is windless. Well, I mean, let's say, I lived when it was sunny. I felt that the smell appeared in me in August, somewhere, probably, it lasted for 10 days. And here it's just, as I understand it, that the wind goes along the coast, and you are a little closer in this. Well, I can't say, so I'll ask you. That is, well...
This is such a question. Now everyone will think that a blogger is asking a question, well, of course, and what will he answer? So, well, in fact, it is. I think that it is better to ask people, I don't know, who work here. Ask the workers if they felt some smell there or the people who live around, because from my side it may sound like it's a little subjective. So...
Well, you appear here quite often too. That is, your opinion. How often have you encountered the appearance of a smell here, like a developer?
Well, once it was last year, that once, when I came here, well, I felt a little, not exactly like that, well, somehow.
Now this dump is already being liquidated. The Arabs are starting to build a whole city there. Yes, that is, we are not far from this. I have to talk about this. I think so, because there are people who then begin to discover that it turns out that the airport is quite close here. Yes, but at the same time the airport is small and the planes are
1 kilometer from the airport, 200 kilometers.
but closer to the sea than to the airport. But in principle, it is very convenient that this and another question. Sigvaspiri Street, yes, which goes down to the sea, it is quite narrow, and there are a lot of complexes being put into operation there. Now I have already driven along it, I will take some more pictures of it now. That is, in principle, there are a lot of complexes along Greenspire. Do you think there will be traffic jams after the complex is occupied? Oh, I don't
Think so, because each complex has its own entrance and you can just drive in by car or taxi and drop off, so there will be no blocking the road. So, accordingly, if everything is according to the traffic rules, there will be no traffic jams here. And at the same time, we still have an alternative, that is, there is a second road too, and you can get there from here. So I'm thinking,
You mean from that side, from that side, from that side? Yes. I drive from that side, because of this, there is sometimes construction there, that is, there is traffic, people, clients arrive, leave, and if you drive in from the other side. Yeah, I get it. And let's then, at the end, probably declare what list of works are left now before the complex is completely finished. That is, what works, so that it is clear, right? That is, what is left until the end.
Well, we actually went into several apartments, somewhere there is a missing glass on the railing. That's it. Well, within 10 days it will be done. On some floors there are some stained glass windows missing, you understand? We have some small things. There are 2 stained glass windows left to install, there is 1 railing. There is some left on the facade, there are some nuances and basically it is the first floor, there is the infrastructure, and all the other work. In principle, we have everything.
That is, this first basement floor remains, to finish it and in principle everything will be done.
Yes, because we also went to the entrances, that is, we saw that the entrance is almost finished. There are walls, tiles, the door is installed.
And if we manage to finish it by the new year, it will already be possible to live here, but the work itself, I think, will still last a little while after that. Yes, it may last a little, but when you really want to leave here, probably.
Here's my partner Eduard, who is the manager of this project. He says that we are leaving on January, but that is what he wants. He set himself such a goal. I hope that it will work out, but I think that the latest is May. We can see 100% from here.
But it will be possible to live in January.
Right? It will be possible to live even earlier. Yes, I know that there are people who are going to move in even earlier, and there are no problems with this. In principle, there will be all the utilities and all the conditions for living here. Well, our reception will need a little renovation, yes.
And then I have a question. Maybe I didn't ask something that you would like to collect. Maybe I didn't ask some question. I asked about the cost of service, I asked about the price of the apartment, I asked about the installment plan, but maybe you want to add something from yourself?
Buy real estate now, because tomorrow it will be more expensive. This is 100%.
You said this in 2022, not everyone listened. And
now listen. Why can I explain why? Because construction is getting much more expensive. Our cost is much higher than $450 per square meter. That is, the first apartments, in principle, we sold cheaper than cost. That is, well, we attracted investment, that is, we started building and so on. We invested our own money, including investors, and then there was a different calculation. But in the end, it turned out completely different, and this will continue, because the cost is growing. Now the secondary market is slightly slowing down the one that was growing prices faster. Because if a new project starts, then the starting price will already be $900. This means that in 3 years the minimum price will be $1,800 to $2,000. Now open this video in 3 years, and you will see for yourself. You
can open the video from 2022, when you spoke.
You can. And you know, I just opened the video that we filmed in Gardenin, and there is a comment there. There are comments there. Someone writes that, well, I say, the price is this for a townhouse and this is all that goes. And someone wrote there that you won't be able to meet this price, that is, this cost, it's very low, you'll go into the minus. And so I opened this one. I understand that this person was absolutely right, because at these prices that we were selling then, that is, it's cheaper than cost.
I see. Well, I think it turned out very informative. Anyway, I'll leave your contact information under the video. A discount for channel subscribers. I hope it will only grow. Thank you very much. That's it. Thank you very much. See you at the sea.
See you at the sea.